I'm Nina from Agnisys. I would like to welcome Khalid Chishti from Allegro Microsystems, a user of our iDesign Spec product for several years. I would also like to welcome EDA industry expert Tom Anderson, who will talk with Khalid about his experience working with Agnisys. Over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Nina, and Colin, thanks so much for joining us today. I'd like to start, maybe if you could tell us a little bit about your role at Allegro Microsystems. I assume you're involved in verification, but I'd like to learn a bit more about what you do there.
Sure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. My name is Khalid Chishti at Allegro Microsystems. I am a senior design manager. Currently, I'm heading the model-based design team as well as corporate design verification teams.
So you're involved in both design and verification. Excellent. That's good to hear. And what sort of designs, what sort of chips do you do there? Some sense of the applications and maybe the size or complexity of your designs.
Yeah, sure. So we are mostly in automotive sensor market. These are mixed design sensors, mixed analog and digital design. Our main markets are, as I mentioned, automotive. We are into legacy engines as well as the new generation of electric vehicles. Our major applications also include robotics, computer servers, inverters, green energy, joysticks, charging stations. So there are vast applications for our sensors.
It's quite a range of different products. And
definitely.
Since you're a user of iDesign Spec, I imagine that the registers are quite complex in terms of the number and variety of registers in your design. What are your challenges in designing and verifying the register sets in your chips?
So as you hinted, obviously these are fairly complex sensors. So our design challenges are mostly into signal processing, algorithm development, self-diagnostics to meet automotive safety requirements, self-calibration to operate in different environments. So all those parameters go into register sets and memories. And as you can see, there's a very rich environment for programmability and UIs and so forth. So registers play a huge role. But our main challenges are I wanted my design team to really focus more on the application and algorithm development, not really on registers and feeds, and because our end customers are not really interested in that, right? That's sort of if another design team like Agnisys can come up with this kick-ass application, which is much more driven through a spec directly to code and verification, that is actually quite good for my team, because we literally don't want to focus on those areas. Someone else can solve those problems for us. So, as the design cycle goes, we are model-based design operation. So we want to design our sensors because it's a mixed signal sensor design, not just digital or analog, right? And it does have software as well. So all those pieces, we like to really model our system based on those changing environments that we operate in, right? And so as the saying goes, you know, at the more abstract level you design your sensors or anything, the better it is, because you see bigger picture much faster rather than going into nitty-gritty of register design and then find out problems at the system level.
Right. So you would say the automation process then, as well as the offloading of these design verification tasks, are your primary reasons why you were looking for a better solution? Is that a fair statement?
Definitely, because we wanted to focus more on application and not into really, we have experts in RTL design, but that expertise is used much more on the side of application development rather than RTL and verification and those disciplines.
I understand. When did you first start using iDesign Spec?
So we have been a user of iDesign Spec since 2011.
Oh,
So
quite a while.
quite a while, yes.
And is it, I know it's been a while since you haven't used it, but is there any way you can characterize or quantify the savings that you have on a project by using this automatic process rather than having your registers manually designed and verified? Does it save, weeks, months? Is there any way to sort of give us a sense of what the value is to your design team and verification team?
Definitely. So I think the biggest value add is not just designing it once. As I hinted prior to talking to you here, our design process actually evolves. Basically, a lot of requirements are not firm at the beginning of the project, right? So our project normally goes from 6 months to 2 years time frame. And based on some new lessons that we learned, because these are sensors in automotive operation, right? So our PVT corners are very extreme beyond commercial use, right? So from minus 40 degrees to 185 degrees, and a lot of signals get distorted, right? And those are the challenges which are not obvious to us for new applications. So things change over time. And I think the biggest value add for Agnisys for us have been this changing of a spec and then generating code directly within minutes is a huge value to us. So it's not, okay, you can pay the price upfront. So we have, to answer you, we have done some studies internal like a few years back. And for register and memory management and verification, our cost saving was about roughly 25% for overall project. But we cannot quantify these changes, and having code which is correct by design, is a huge value to us, because the verification overhead that based on human, mistakes in RTL and chasing that is just a cycle which we cannot accommodate in our design cycle. So that has been a huge value add, and which I unfortunately cannot quantify, right? Because it's one of those things, the bugs you don't see, you can't quantify, right?
Right. I think you make two very good points there. One is one of the values of automation is the repeated process. So as your architectural spec and therefore your register definitions change throughout the project, you don't have to keep modifying your design or your verification. You just change the spec and push the button again and regenerate. So that's a very good point. You've also hit upon the point of the higher level of abstraction you design in, the fewer bugs you get, because you're not doing all that manual coding where you're just going to make mistakes. I mean, humans make mistakes when they write things, and a mistake in a high level spec gets detected and fixed pretty quickly. A mistake in hand-coded RTL, might stick around for a long time before you find it and fix it. So thanks for bringing up two excellent points there. So do you see any changes in the way that you're going to use iDesign Spec and work with Agnisys in the future, or you have a nice pattern going and expect to continue that?
Well, actually, we are actually enhancing, working with Agnisys, our design flow. And Agnisys have been an excellent partner in that, because over the years, our design process have also improved and changed quite a bit, right? Before, the emphasis was just to get a spec and someone coded the RTL and then off you go. But now we have very different environment. And what I mean is basically we use models in Simulink, we model our system in Simulink as well as in MATLAB. So that work environment is completely different than purely RTL. And then we go quick prototype it into FPGAs, right? So now you go with very abstracted model environment, which is mainly MATLAB and C-based, into purely RTL and UVM environment. And then when you go into the lab and on tester and customer sites, right, you are running C code on some embedded processor. So over the years, we have worked with Agnisys to overcome these challenges, and they came out with a very good tool, sequence spec, that auto-generates the code for us. So on one side, we have the design contents and verification environments, right, from iDesign spec. But iSequence spec is is the programming side of things. So basically, it auto generates code, and Agnisys actually catered to our needs for having MATLAB generated code, which was not part of the original product design. And this is what I mean, like they have been a very good partner in terms of changing. Our design team is very dynamic, so dynamically changing environments and then catering to the needs of customers is a key value add for us.
I'm delighted to hear that. One of my observations of the EDA industry has been that almost all good EDA tools are developed very closely with leading customers. The customers always have great ideas for how to solve their problems, and they always have lots of problems to be solved. And quite often, the expertise of the EDA companies can be brought to bear on solving those problems. So I'm really glad that you have that cooperative relationship. That's really good to hear. Well, I think that wraps up my questions. I'd like to thank you very much for joining us today, and back over to you, Nita.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom and Khalid, for taking out time to talk on iDesign Spec experience. Talk to you next time. Thank you.